Okay, welcome back. And we're about to introduce our next speaker. I'm very excited to hear from this young lady all the way from Singapore. Her name is Avni Martin, and she's a Master Certified Coach with the International Coach Federation. She is a renowned thought leader and speaker internationally, and she has over 22 years experience in leading change. So I'm sure there's a lot that we can learn from her today because there's a lot of change going on in our life. So just like every other speaker, we're talking around the theme of navigating your emotions in the new normal. So what Avni's going to do is help us to do that by using our collective emotional intelligence. Hey, Avni.
Thank you, Grant, for that very warm welcome. Hello, welcome, and thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. I am deeply grateful to have this opportunity to discuss with you a topic that is very close to my heart, as it has the ability to truly redefine the way we relate to ourselves, others, and life itself. So let's start our journey together to explore how we can reimagine a new world with collective emotional intelligence. Our world is at war, both externally and also internally within ourselves, with our families. So, have you ever questioned why we exist in a way where conflict is actually the norm? It is part of our existence. We take it for granted that we're going to have conflict all around us. Why is that? That not a single day that passes that we do not experience any conflict, upset, hurt in our community or within our relationships. So, why is conflict such a normal part of our human existence? Have you ever wondered at what possibly could be the source of it? And is there a possibility of having a world where conflict is not normal? So, let's take a moment to imagine a world where conflict is not normal, where peace is the norm in communities, within relationships, and the world at large. And as you're imagining that, I'd like to share a little story. As I was preparing for this presentation, I was searching for images on stock images websites. And I found that as I searched for the world at war, I actually got a lot of gruesome and real images. And then when I started searching for world at peace, what I got is these images and nothing else but this. And these are all generated on a computer at someone's house. So, or office. So I know that this is just a result from a search. And as such, in its own right, it doesn't mean a whole lot. But let's think about it. What does that really indicate to us about where our world is? Why is it that when we type in world at war, we see a lot of real images, and we type in the world at peace, we see computer generated images? What does that really say? I believe that we have a gap in our imagination of what is possible in our world. And because of that, we have a gap, an aching gap, as a reality in our world today. So let's explore what is this gap. And before we do that, speaking of imagination, the words of two amazing humans come to my mind. Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress and giving birth to evolution. In short, he said that imagination gives birth to evolution. What if our imagination can directly fuel our evolution to have a peaceful world? If we can imagine a world at peace, then we can evolve internally so that our external life also evolves with it in a way that peace becomes normal. Evolution is both natural and unstoppable, as we all know and as we all have seen through history and science. And evolution is always in response to our survival. And right now, we know that our survival depends on us evolving to our next level of emotional intelligence and growth. Steve Jobs said, "The ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do." So let us be crazy together and consider how exactly can we evolve emotionally so that we can create a world of peace. Peace can be our new norm as we evolve together. So the question that comes to my mind is, why exactly do we really have such internal conflicts and external conflicts with ourselves, with others, and with the community at large? Consider that. Why does this even exist? Why do we have that? And I believe that the root cause of this is our programming, is the way we think, our mindset. And also, it's absolutely possible for us to find another way to think, feel, believe, and be in such a way that our humanity can be completely different and one that's at peace. So let me explain my thinking. Some of you may have come across this principle called systems thinking. At its core, it says that large-scale events in the world happen because of collective patterns and behaviors. Now, these collective patterns and behaviors are happening over a long period of time. And they only happen because we actually have systems and structures which are in place that enable them, that allow them to happen, that make it acceptable for them to happen at a large scale. And these systems and structures are only there because of our collective mindset. It's about how we think. So, conflicts exist because of behaviors and patterns that are considered to be normal. And we have systems and structures in place that support such behaviors and patterns. And these systems and structures only exist because of our collective mindset. So if we start to think differently, both individually and at a collective level, then we start to impact all the systems and structures, which then impacts our behaviors and our results at an individual level and at a collective level. And just making a note that when we say the word we, I'm referring to not just one generation. We may not be able to do it immediately within one generation, but I'm referring to we as a humanity, multiple generations. It's about how we think so that we can then program and bring up our next generations, because they will be the future leaders. And if we bring them up to think differently, they will create different structures different patterns of behaviors, which will give us a different end result. So it's about programming and reprogramming who we are as people, as a humanity, so that we can evolve in light of what we need to evolve for. So it is absolutely and completely possible for us to change all large-scale systems, structures, patterns, behaviors at a systemic level. And as this happens, we can start to see a whole new world emerging that we never thought was possible before. And it all starts with us here today. Anything is possible if we imagine it is. So let's imagine a better world and make it happen now. I'm sure many of you are right now wondering, so how? How do we do that? How do we as one person start to make this difference? And can we even do that? Yes, we can. So let's start by looking at what is this collective mindset that creates and perpetuates both internal and external conflict. This is like a mindset that we all subscribe to, a little bit like Netflix. We haven't paid for it though, and it's omnipresent all around us. It's programmed within us, whether or not we like it. It's a set of beliefs that we are born into, that we're programmed into, and these are viewpoints. But we're going to start to look at some of these sets of beliefs and viewpoints, and we will start to see that actually these sets of beliefs do give rise to conflict, and yet each of those sets of beliefs do not stand their ground when they're looked at objectively. Then why do we subscribe to those sets of beliefs? Simple answer, we're brought up into it. We're programmed that way. And is it possible to change our programming? Absolutely yes. We can change the culture anytime we want. The minute we say we want to change something, we can. And it all starts with a nuclear family, with who we are as people first. Like Gandhi said, be the change you want the world to see. So what is this change that we want the world to see? At a very practical level, what is this mindset? So I'd like you to take a step back and think of a specific incident or conflict that you have personally experienced or are witnessing experience around you or the world at large. Think of conflict at any level. So take a moment to think about that. Pick one conflict that you're imagining right now or seeing. And start to look at that conflict, and you will find that it has three key elements in it. The conflict would not exist without these elements. Now let's look at those elements that are common in all conflicts worldwide. First one is I am right and you are wrong. So in every conflict, you will find this dynamic that one party will feel that they are right and another person is wrong. The next one is that one party believes that what they think, what they feel, their perspective, or what they want is more important than what the other person wants. And the last thing that you will always notice in every conflict is that there was an action. Someone decided to act on the first two beliefs, that I'm right and I'm important, or what I want is important. And they will act through it, through speaking or doing something. So I'm right, you're wrong, I'm more important than you, and I will take action because of the first two are three key elements which are going to be present in every single conflict. Now take a macro perspective. How often have you experienced this in a difficult encounter. These three elements, where someone is adamant that they are right and you're wrong. Their thoughts or feelings were more important than yours as far as they were concerned, and they decided to take action on that path. How familiar does that sound to you? So now let's look at these statements from an objective perspective. How true or helpful is it really in relationships between two people, groups of people, or countries that one side thinks and feels that they are right, they think and feel that what they want is more important, and that they think and feel that they should take actions to prove it or get what they want? How true is it and how helpful is it really? And when does that ever end well? These are the false sets of beliefs that we are brought up with, like that Netflix channel that I referred to earlier. So let's look at the first one. Because the fact is that there are infinite perspectives. Truth, if there is such a thing as truth, is a sum of infinite perspectives, and each person has only got their slice of truth. They've only got their own perspective from where they're standing. But each person has got their own perspective, and each person is right. So, truth, if there is such a thing, is a sum of multiple perspectives. And in terms of importance, whilst it may feel true to an individual, collectively and objectively speaking, and keeping long-term view at hand or in our minds, what's really good for our world is that we consider that each person has got something that's important to them, and collectively everything that everyone wants is also important. So it's not fair, or it's not okay to think that what I want is more important than what you want. It's not sustainable. The point is, does it lead to peace? Does it lead to sustainability long term? It doesn't. It leads to threat to our survival. And the last one is that I should take action because of the first two. Most people react or act when they feel that they're right. And how often does that really serve everyone's highest good? So, what are some alternate sets of beliefs? That each person has their own perspective, each person's needs are just as important as others, and it's best to take actions only after we fully understand the first two. Pinocchio aside for a moment, this is a very important conversation, as the state of our own happiness, success, progress, and that of the entire world depends on how we approach this. Our world, both micro and macro, is literally in our hands. So, at a very practical level, starting from today, what can we do differently? So, how do we really do this? There are three steps. The first one is to challenge our perceptions, beliefs, and mindsets. So let's start to look at why exactly we should challenge our perceptions and beliefs and mindsets. Because our perception literally creates our reality. You may wonder, what's reality got to do with perception? Reality is real, isn't it? It's not a sum of what we think. So let's look at our perception and how it truly creates our reality. So if you think about it this way, our reality is a sum of all the results in our life. Okay, so our reality is all the results in our lives. And all the results in our life, for what is in our control, comes from what we say and what we do, our actions and our behaviors. And all of our actions and our behaviors, which is what we say and what we do, comes from how we see things, how we think about things, our mindset, our perspectives. They govern our behavior. So essentially, our mindsets and our behavior, our mindsets and our thoughts and our perspectives determine our behavior. And our behavior then creates our reality. So our perception has got everything to do with our reality. How we see things is a game changer. And like William Dyer said, if you change the way you see things, what you see changes. So if you change your perception, you change your reality. So continually challenging our perspectives is very important. And one way to encourage us to do that is to really think of how many times in our lives have we absolutely thought that we were right and it turned out we were not. Think of all the times when other people thought that they were absolutely right, but they were also not. Think of world leaders and decision makers who've taken large scale decisions and they were convinced that they were right, but it turned out that they were not. So, is it really true that there is only one right? Can there be multiple versions of right? And what is your benefit? What's in it for you for considering other versions of what's right? The next step is to really change our habits to assume less and understand others first. A good friend recently shared with me, when you don't seek to win an argument, you may just be the true winner. Think about that. When you don't seek to win an argument, you may just be the winner. So, giving up on our need to be right and learning to understand why others are right will help us transform our understanding, our judgment, and make us more emotionally aware of both ourselves and other people. So, how exactly do we do this? So, we have a picture of a heart and a big ear. Now, this is all about listening deeply. And it's interesting because the word listen has the same letters as the word silent. So this is really about listening to not just what people say, but also what they don't say. And truly making an effort to understand their perspective, understand their worldview, listening from our heart to truly understand their emotions. As I train people to become professional coaches, often I teach something that I call emotional listening. It's listening for a person's emotions. And why is that important? It's because everyone makes decisions from their emotions. Our emotions really are our powerhouse. A lot of the decisions we make are being made because we feel in a certain way. So, learning to listen with emotions gives us invaluable knowledge and information that otherwise we may simply miss if we are simply listening to their words. And we've all heard of the phrase that information is power. So, why would we want to miss out on this treasure of information? We can use it to our own benefit and that of the world and our relationships. And so, how amazing would it be if we can really tap into this power? And of course, we can. All it takes is a little bit of an effort and a little bit of training, self training. And imagine the benefit for yourself and the world around you. So imagine next time you're having a debate or an argument or even just a conversation, if you can truly listen for and understand the emotions that the other person is experiencing and going through, what would that do to your emotional intelligence? How will that impact what you say and what you do? How will that impact your results and that relationship? So let's work to really change our habits, to assume less and understand more by truly listening to people's emotions. We can put aside our emotions, we can put aside our assumptions, filters, biases, and perspectives for a moment to truly understand others with curiosity and presence. And we can almost assume for one moment that other people are right. And when we assume that, we will learn a whole new set of information that we did not know before. So, learning to listen with patience, emotions, and avoiding any premature conclusions is a habit that's going to serve us very well to develop our collective emotional intelligence. And the last step, but not the least, is to really commit to refraining from any actions in terms of what we say and what we do until we do the first two steps first. So, making a mental note to really remind ourselves to take a step back before we take any actions. Can there be another version of a perspective on this? Is there something that we possibly might have missed or not understood? Can we understand somebody more? Can we listen with greater patience and emotional intelligence? And remember that we can take back our thoughts and even feelings, but we cannot take back our words and actions. So, to summarize, let's work on challenging our perspectives and beliefs that I am right, changing our habits to assume less and understand more, and committing to only taking actions when we have done the first two. I truly hope that I'm leaving you with a powerful possibility that we can truly imagine a world that listens more deeply with emotions. This is truly the bridge that takes us from judgments to understanding, from internal conflicts to internal peace, from external conflicts to external peace, and overall, a world at peace. So I hope you really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope that this will make a difference to you in the way you listen, in the way you interact, and find your own peace. Thank you again for being with us here today, and Grant for giving me the opportunity to share this conversation with you that's extremely close to my heart. Let's together redefine the way we relate to ourselves, others, and the world at large. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Wow, thank you so much, Avni. That was awesome. And, I know for me personally that internal war that goes on from time to time, that conflict, both internal and external, can really make it difficult for me to be able to navigate my emotions in a healthy way. So thank you so much for serving us and sharing from your heart. And I know that everyone is nodding their head and saying, yes, I understand what you're saying. I got a lot out of that. And right now, I'd love you to leave some comments. Let Avni know that you have got something from her session. And as I said, right at the start, we want you to find one thing that you can take and use in your everyday life, no matter where it is, whether it's at home, in the community, in your workplace, in your school, it doesn't matter. So long as it takes you towards being able to navigate your emotions in a way that's good for you, good for others, and good for the greater good. All right, so we're going to have another break, and then we're going to come back and hear from our next speaker. I'll see you again soon.